And so we've been talking about what transition is that we need to make as a people, as a community. That what we want to do is bring back to life the faith that we've been given. To not go through the mundane mechanics, just like every religion fell into the trap of doing, including our religious followers, including us at times in our lives. And inshallah, we ask Allah that we don't continue that mundane mechanical following. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says to the companions of Muhammad أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ. When Allah is saying to the companions of Muhammad, those around Him that are sacrificing and struggling, He says, is it not time for those who believe that their hearts would tremble, would be humbling themselves to the remembrance of God and what has been revealed of truth? We sit sometimes, and when I hear this ayah, and I realize it was revealed upon the companions of Muhammad ﷺ, it's perplexing. It's not an easy concept to understand that those same people we hear about, those same people that we would love to be anything close to resembling in their sacrifice, in their love of Allah, in the love of His Messenger, and how they made it through personal struggles, and how they made it through a background of being raised upon evil, many of them, and finding their way to good, and making good of their life, and being unforgettable for the rest of time to the majority of humanity, at least 1/6 of the world, remembering some names at a very permanent level, like Umar radiallahu anhu, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and Zubayr ibn Awam, the names that every young man and young woman has to learn when they learn their faith. Allah reveals upon them, is it not time for those who believe that their hearts should be humbled to the remembrance of God and what has been revealed of truth? It gives us a reason to pause. It gives us a reason to think a little more. What is it that they weren't doing that would make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveal such an ayah upon them? And the reality is that as human beings, we have a tendency to fall into routine and to become mindless to some extent in some of the things we do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us that if we fall mindless in routine, following anything that we do, that the one place, the one area of our thoughts that never stops reflecting, never stops seeking more, seeking reflection, seeking deeper meaning, seeking answers, is in our relationship with Him. And when we talk about, and I stand here often and talk to you about the fact that we're owing to Allah what we owe to our people, whether they're here in Evansville, whether in all of the United States of America, whether in the world, that we owe it to our people to bring the Quran back to life. When I stand here and talk about that, it's very easy for us, for me to say, and for us to get excited about it. But the hard part is to maintain a minimum level of connection, a minimum level of reflection that keeps us going week in and week out, month in and month out, so that we're constantly improving. Because our beloved Sallallahu He said, "Man istawa yawmahu fahuwa maghbun." Whoever's today is the same as yesterday, whoever's 2 days are equivalent, literally, is a loser. Fahuwa maghbun, he's a loser. So whoever today, for him, in terms of his development, not just in terms of spirituality. The Prophet ﷺ said, your today should not be the same as yesterday. You shouldn't be just doing the same thing every day. And it's more meaningful. It's more critical for a group of people who are saying, we see a problem. We see a problem in our own faith group, in our own faith community, that the meanings of the Quran are not really revived among us. That our places of worship aren't the places that people come to find home and to find serenity. We see a problem. A group is saying, we're saying together, we see a problem. We see a problem with our faith community. We see a problem with our world in terms of justice and equality and global wars and pain and people being killed and families being torn apart physically. And we see families being torn apart emotionally right down the street from us and sometimes in our own homes. We see a problem. We know there's a problem. Of course, there's many problems. And I always stand here and talk to you about problems. And that's easy to say. It's easy to recognize when the world is full of them. But the fact is that if a group is going to say them, and is going to say the second part that we're saying together, which is that I attest, O Muhammad, I attest, O Allah, that Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, came with your solution to these problems. I attest that he came with the solution to every problem. وَأَنزَلْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مَا هُوَ تَفْصِيلٌ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. That we sent down in this scripture what has a solution for everything. I attest to that because I attest La ilaha illallah. If we're going to be a group that says that, then what we have to do is be willing to attest to when the problems are at home and be willing to take the steps that don't allow us to do the same thing and expect different results. So if what we're attesting together in claiming La ilaha illallah, that this world isn't where Allah wants it, that our city isn't where Allah wants it, that our homes aren't where Allah wants it. And I don't have to give you the statistics like I did last time we were together. All I ask you to do, all I ask each one of us to do is look, talk to his children, talk to his own kids about the pain they feel some days of the week, some days of the month. There is a problem. We attest to it. So that means we also attest that I'm not okay with today being the same as yesterday. But that can become overwhelming. When I say these things and we make a commitment that we're going to change and we make a commitment that we're not going to continue doing the same things, it can become overwhelming. And one of my beloved brothers, who's extremely supportive of the message that I keep pushing, keeps continually reminding me, one of the things you're not doing enough of is letting people know how merciful Allah is, how forgiving He is, no matter how short we fall. And I do sometimes forget to do it. Because the problems are overwhelming. And what we have to do to solve them is a lot. But our beloved Sallallahu didn't leave us with this feeling. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He revealed, is it not time for believing men and women to humble their hearts to the remembrance of Allah and what has been revealed of truth? He didn't mean to send upon us this feeling of being overwhelmed. In fact, in that truth, in remembering Allah is remembering that He is the one who solves the problems. It isn't the actions we take that solve the problems. So the first thing that makes it easy on us, that we can make the intent, take the steps that we're going to take, plan that we're not going to keep doing the same things. So if the routine has been that we come and listen to a khutbah, and sometimes like it and sometimes don't, and that is our weekly charge, that's our weekly spiritual activation, and we say we're not going to do the same things, continue to do the same things that we've been doing, that means we need something more on a weekly basis. If we're not going to do the same things at home, and at home what we've been doing is telling our kids you need to learn the Quran, telling our kids you need to learn Arabic in some cases, telling our kids this is our faith and taking them to Sunday school, and that's not cutting it, then we need to do additional things. There's something more we need to do. There's something different we need to do. And I'm not coming here claiming I have all the answers. But I'm coming here claiming and contending and asking that together we seek those answers. That we're going to try things together, try new things together. And maybe some of them will be successful and some of them will not. But what I know will not be successful, is to do the same thing we've always done and expect other than the same thing we've always got. Again, if we do what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always got. And our beloved ﷺ was not sent. He was not sent so that a child be born, being told certain things by his parents, do them the way they told him, and be that mechanic of a mundane life that he lives. Our beloved ﷺ was sent so that every man, woman, and child, as soon as that child has a head on his shoulders that he can think with, as soon as that young lady can contemplate and reflect, that we become contemplators of life. And our beloved ﷺ told us a hadith that makes it even easier. So Allah is the one who brings the results, but here is the easiest part. The Prophet ﷺ said, he was asked, what is the best deeds? And there's several narrations of the hadith. But in one of the narrations he says, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The most beloved deeds to Allah are the ones that are permanent, the ones that are consistent, even if they're few, even if it's little. What does this mean? And why specifically this week am I choosing to tell you this? We're coming out of a summer break. Many young men and women were not going to school during summer, and now they're going to get back to school. A lot of my brothers choose to take their vacations during the summer break. We, as a Muslim community, happen to have Ramadan during that summertime this year as well. And that Ramadan month is a month where our spiritual awakening happens. At a minimum, we feel like we can do more. We are actually pushing ourselves to do more. And as soon as the month was over, for every one of us, this isn't a sin. What I'm about to say isn't a sin we committed. It's a reality we lived. As soon as the month was over, the dip of our faith, the dip of our activity to get closer to God was severe. Some of us much more severe than others. And with that dip is a harder climb. So we have to decide what is the lowest point we'll allow ourselves and our families to dip to. We should not keep it going until we're back to where we were before Ramadan. And if there's a weekend to put a stop to the dip, it's now. It's been a few weeks. We've had our Eid break. We're going back into school. We're going back to a normal work routine with our families and where they go and what they're doing with their time. Now is the time to build into our routine the activity, the triggers and the reminders that will help us individually and help our families get closer to Allah. Not as a routine and not as a mechanical action that we're taking. Not to check a box. But what was most relevant for our own family. So if my children, if I've never sat down with them and looked at the Quran, then I can't expect and set the standard for myself is that every night we're going to recite Quran together. Because it's not going to happen. Even if it happens for a week, it's not going to happen for a month. And if you're lucky and it happens for a month, it's not going to happen for the rest of the year. So when the Prophet ﷺ says, أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ he's saying, set for yourself a minimum. This doesn't contradict striving for the best. It doesn't contradict trying to do as much as you can to get closer to Allah. It doesn't contradict that. Because a believer is always striving for what's best. But in terms of setting a minimum bar, that minimum bar, that bar that you say, I'm going to keep this one consistent, must be a bar that does what's needed for you and your family. Does what's needed for you first if you want to be the example for your family. Whether you're the father or the mother or a young man and woman who's trying to set an example for your parents before they set an example for you. You have to set that minimum. And that minimum should be something that you know you can sustain and build upon. And that minimum has to allow us an opportunity to contemplate, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through contemplation, and to get closer to Allah through learning.